The Sheridan is a Tier 10 American light tank, and when I mean light, this vehicle only weighs in at 16 tons. However, to make up for that, it does have an extremely good power-to-weight ratio of 33, boasting at a fantastic top speed of 65 kilometers per hour. As well, it is completely covered in spaced armor. There are a couple spots where you can penetrate it with high explosive ammunition, but for the most part, it is very troll to try and penetrate those shells. The Sheridan also boasts a 152mm cannon, which has pretty good penetration for the standard and the ability to deal 560 damage with a standard shell. Its heat ammunition does 490 damage per shot, but if you're running calibrated shells, has fantastic amounts of pen at 341. The Sheridan is definitely a tank you want to be scared of because it's a light, it carries a light tank camouflage, meaning that it can zip around the map and not losing any camouflage until it does fire its gun. Very deadly, and that is why we're going to be going over this American destroyer. It is very, very rare to find a full in-depth review on a Tier 10 vehicle on Blitz YouTube anymore, so I thought, you know what? Enough with the clickbait titles. We are going to make a full, in-depth, no BS review on the Tier 10 American light tank, being the Sheridan. I absolutely love this tank for a lot of reasons, but it definitely has its downsides, and I'll be letting you literally everything you need to know about this tank, how to drive it from a professional player's point of view, and everything else in between. So if you do enjoy this content, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. The other thing I wanted to say is that if you become a member on the channel, it is as cheap as $1 a month. You can vote and decide on what Tier 10s we are doing next videos on, and then we'll do Tier 9 and Tier 8 once we finish all of them. I thought that this would be a really good way so that I can continue posting these, because normally, unfortunately, these views get less views than the clickbait titled ones. But either way, let's get straight into it, starting off with the statistics of the Sheridan. On paper, the Sheridan's 152mm cannon does not look that special. It's got a base aiming time of 4.4 seconds, and as well a base dispersion of 0.380. Those two values do not look great by any means. But I do want to point out that on movement dispersion, which is a hidden statistic that Wargaming doesn't show in the in-game garage, does make a huge difference in the battlefield. Whenever you drive a tank like the T-49, and you're driving at full speed and you instantly stop, and you've got to wait like 3 seconds before your aiming circle even starts getting smaller, that is called on-movement dispersion. And the worse it is, the longer it takes for your aiming circle to start even aiming in after you've stopped moving your vehicle when you've turned your turret. The Sheridan doesn't have that problem. It's sitting at 0.12. Compared to another 150mm like the T110E3 that's sitting at 0.2, that means that this tank easily can aim in and snap its shells very quickly, which actually makes it seem a lot more accurate than it is really on paper. And that's the same thing for the damage per minute. Sure, it sits at 2,319 DPM if you are running calibrated shells. With gun rammer, it's sitting at around 2,500 DPM. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not great. If you get YOLO'd by another medium tank and you put yourself in one of those situations, you definitely are gonna die. This tank is very easy to ram, only weighing in at 17 tons when it's fully equipped. And yeah, it's not great at brawling with medium tanks because it doesn't have that raw DPM. But when you use it with single shot damage, just as a good case from my statistics, I'm currently sitting at, from the past 20 games in the Sheridan this month, 3,800 average damage, as you can see here. So it can definitely get out the damage. It is just how you put out that damage and where you drive this tank that really affects how you're playing it. So yeah, average damage per shot is fantastic at 560, and the standard pen isn't bad either at 241, and the premium pen at 341. I just want to put in a comparison here. The Leopard 1 has the highest premium pen for a medium in Tier 10, and that's sitting at 330 with Cali on. The Sheridan has 340. I mean, this thing has more accurate pen to Tier 10 heavies than actually mediums, which makes it really good for cutting through E100 turret cheeks and Jagdpanzer E100's front all armor, so great on that aspect. As well, the HE pen at 99 means that if you get the sides or rear of really any heavy tanks that are lightly armored or mediums, you can easily chunk a 680 damage shot round into the enemy opponents. Again, absolutely fantastic. It's a shame it's not the 780 the T-49 carries, but to be honest, it still hits like a truck when you are able to penetrate those high explosive shells. American tanks are known for using their gun depression, and to be honest, I don't blame them. Gun depression can absolutely make or break a vehicle's playstyle, and thankfully the Sheridan is sitting at a solid 10 degrees, just like the T92E1 and the T49. So it can work any ridgeline that its heart desires on any single map. When we make our way over to the mobility, while this tank's engine power is only 533, judging that the vehicle only weighs again 17 tons, it still has an absolutely fantastic top speed of 65 forwards, 22 in reverse, and a power-to-weight ratio of 31.3, which Blitz says gives it an average top speed of 46 kilometers per hour. A lot of people say the Sheridan should be buffed back to its original power-to-weight, but I don't even get that argument because the tank still has basically the same mobility as the Chatillon. The Batchat has the same top speed, goes in reverse 1 faster, and its power-to-weight ratio gives it an average top speed literally 1 better than the Sheridan. I don't understand it at all. This tank is still incredibly fast, and it will very, very easily get itself out of trouble as long as you give yourself enough time to manage to move your tank. It has a traverse speed of 71 degrees a second, and merging that with its traverse speed of 43 degrees a second, this thing is easily going to snap shells on the move. If there's anybody behind you that instantly pops up, yeah, you're not going to have to worry about that in this light tank. So those are the statistics of the vehicle. It's fast, it's got big alpha, it's a pretty good penetration going for it, and even the ability to snap some shells into enemy opponents. Now before we do break into the final part of replays, I do want to showcase the armor. Most light tanks like the Chatillon don't have a lot of armor, but the Sheridan is actually very tricky due to its spaced armor that can cause a bunch of troll bounces, and the ability to not be penned by high explosive on the front, sides, or even rear in certain cases. The Sheridan, weighing in at only 17 tons, obviously cannot create that much room for armor, and you'll notice that is definitely the case. Frontally, even with the spaced armor, it is only 49 millimeters thick. The sides, oh, they're awful, they're 23, and the rear of the tank is only 20 millimeters thick. So you're not going to be bouncing any standard ammunition off of the tank. However, what you can notice is that the Sheridan is covered completely in spaced armor. This back part here that is all red, that's not actually part of the hull, that's just spaced armor, a screen like the E75 TS has, and it covers the entire front, rear, and sides of the vehicle. If we load in high explosive ammunition, it will give you a better view of where you can penetrate HE on this tank. So the lower part here that is completely white, as you can see, has a 100% chance of penning, and it will deal the fullest amount of damage. It also has to do with the sides. There is a little slit in between where the tracks are, and that is also penetrable by high explosive ammunition, and the rear, just like the front, has a pennable spot, which also is going to pen. But everywhere else that you will not see white, so the sides, the complete sides of the vehicle, the frontal upper part, is non-pennable with HE. And that also comes with the turret. Unless you hit like these really tricky shots here, you're not going to be penning the tank. So my advice is just load standard ammo when you're aiming at the front of the turret, and you'll pen every single time. The sides of the turret, yeah, you can HE quite easily, as you can see here, and same for the rear of the turret, very easy penetration, but at least when it comes to the front, I would suggest us to shoot standard ammo, as you'll cut right through that mantlet, which again is only about 27 millimeters thick. So the Sheridan really doesn't have armor. What my suggestion would be when aiming at the side of this vehicle when it's on the move is just aim center mass. Aim about there. When at the front, again, aim center mass, and that will be your least probable chance of the shell missing and not penetrating the tank. But yeah, definitely a very weird armor profile going for the Sheridan. Out with the armor and in with the first replay, we are finding ourselves stuck on Falls Creek. Now, Falls Creek is absolutely fantastic if you are in a medium tank, especially if you are able to win the medium side. Now, why is that? Well, medium side is very important because basically, if you win it, you can just shoot the heavies. It's pretty self-explanatory. You clear the enemy medium tanks, and then all these heavies that are being detected by your teammates and heavies, you're just going to shoot. You've got a free farm on all of them, and you're going to watch that happen exactly in this battle. If you can get a controlled engagement like this, it's basically a free win. That is why I hate playing a heavy tank on a map like Falls Creek on Dead Rail. Even though you might be in a super great haul down heavy, it's very dependent that your mediums do not fall apart. And judging that the enemy team has Bobby McDooferson over there in the Sheridan, we're very easily going to already get him scared off. He's going to run away, and yeah, that's already 554 hit points you've gotten into the enemy tank. One thing that is absolutely amazing about Alpha is that if I was in a medium tank and I'd gotten that shell off, I wouldn't have gotten really much damage out. It would have been like 310 damage a shot if I was in a 62A, 350 if I was in an E50M, and then he would have ran away. That would have been about it. With this tank, and you've got that bigger, chunkier Alpha, it is great that you can get bigger shots into the enemies if you're only going to get one off. Another great thing about Alpha is you can control your engagements. Let's say I was up against two medium tanks, and I had one medium on my side, and I was in the Sheridan. Well, basically, if I'm able to choose when I poke, if I wait for my reload and I get out one 560 damage shot, and then I back up, And even if I traded every one of those shells, because I deal more damage than an enemy medium tank, but yet I have the same health, what that means is that I easily win because I'm controlling when I'm shooting my shells, and the mediums can't shoot me because I've got another teammate helping me. That is where the Sheridan can become absolutely amazing. So already we're getting some pretty easy damage out here. I was thinking maybe I'll shoot an HE at that 183, but either way, 700 damage max roll there, and now we're sitting at 2,355 damage already dealt. There goes the 183. This M7 Yo, he's going to get slapped. We've also got like the VK72 and the 100 over here. I mean, this game is just an easy farm. There you go again. Another nice tap out. Although one thing I do want to point out is that if I was in a medium tank, I probably would have been farming more damage here. I would have, if I was in a Leopard 1, I'd be sitting at way more damage. But you're going to notice that in a moment here, the enemy Jagdpanzer starts looking at me. You can see him all the way in the back. And if that Yag's going to be staring at me, which he is, if I was in a medium tank where my camouflage is worse and I've got a better DPM, which means I'm going to have to be constantly poking, now I'm not going to be able to get any shells out. But because I'm in a Sheridan, that Yag can't spawn me, so I just poke. Again, nice shot out, 424. Now we're sitting almost at 4,000 damage. And again, I'm just chilling here. I mean, I haven't lost any health. The enemy Sheridan, I don't know what he's doing. He's just a bad player. So there's the Jagdpanzer. He's taken out because all my heavies did a fantastic job pushing. Now we've got the T110E3 off to the side. So again, I'm just going to aim in one shell onto the side of this E3. Aiming, boom. Nice snap into the side. Another max roll for 700. And now we're sitting at 4,600 damage dealt. If I was in a medium there, I wouldn't have gotten out that much damage because, as you can see, that E3 was instantly shot by my teammates. So Alpha can help you in certain scenarios. While I may not have as much DPM as other mediums, the Alpha damage can definitely help. So there you go. Nice shot into the rear of the VK72 for 500 there. We're already sitting at 5,200 damage this game. And, well, do I need DPM in this scenario? No, not really. Even if I had only dealt 5,000 damage in this game and I had not have been able to farm this VK for more, I don't really think I would have cared much. This game was already a fantastic one, and it showcases that you don't need DPM. You never need DPM in every engagement to come out with a fantastic battle. Even if I was up against a very strong medium tank on the enemy team, if I had done that exact same thing where I went up to that bush, obviously I would beat any medium into that position, so if I caught them crossing, boom, that's an easy 560. And even if I don't have as much DPM as them, if they push me, I'm already up 600 health, so it's not going to be a great engagement for them. So there you go. The first battle was 5,942. It showcases just where you can use the tank to get out massive shells, and this battle was, no joke, 3.5 minutes, and that's how much damage I was able to farm in 3.5 minutes of shooting. So yeah, this tank can be absolutely ludicrous when it comes for getting out damage because of that huge alpha. For the second battle, we find ourselves stuck on Mayan Ruins. Now, this map is great for all types of vehicles. The only real class that struggles on Mayan is tank destroyers. 183, ooh, I really don't like playing it on this map. But if you're in a medium, or really a heavy, it's pretty good, because mediums you push towards base C. If you're able to win the engagement at C, what you need to do is then just cross the bridge, and then you've got free shots on all of the heavies that push to B side. Unfortunately, you're going to see that in this battle, this is a really weird one, because the enemy heavies decide to go to base A. So this is one of those weird battles where maybe you don't know what to do, and I'll showcase just exactly what I did in my Sheridan to come out with a very solid victory. Now, one thing I did not tell you in the first replay is do not brawl with medium tanks. While you may have alpha, you'll always notice that when I'm driving a Sheridan, I am never putting myself into the front of an engagement. This tank does not have many hit points, and it has basically 0 armor. So when I use it almost like a mobile tank destroyer. Just like the Bat Chat, I'm going to stay decently far away from my opponents, usually like 50 to 100 meters, at a distance where I know that if they were to try to push me, I could get away, and that I have enough time to back in the cover, reload a shell, and hopefully shoot them again before they are able to get to me. That is what I do in my Sheridan, because if you can do that correctly, then you don't need to worry too much about enemies pushing you. Now, we've got the T-54E1 spotted off to the side. You'll notice I was thinking about blind shooting that bush, maybe hitting a TD, but I was like, nah, it's not really worth it. I've got an M6 Yo pushing with me. I've got a WZ-120 here, and I'm going to be pushing my tank straight into the aggressive position. I know that a T-54E1 isn't much of a threat, especially if I can just tap him once and back in the cover. So where is this guy? Well, there he is. We're going to back up slowly. Come on, back up, and fire. Oh, just a weird shot there. I don't know if that was server lag or just my dispersion not liking me, but yeah, that first shell did not want to connect into that T-54. Thankfully, this guy is obviously trying to deal with 3 tanks. So what I'm going to do while he's distracted is shoot an HE into his rear, light him on fire, fire and deal over 926 damage. With that, we're already sitting at 1400 damage dealt this battle from shooting that grill, and now the T-54E1. If I was in a tank that had more DPM, I don't think I would have even gotten out 900 damage if I'm going to be honest. So that's where obviously HE Alpha can be amazing. Now you'll see I was slowly creeping around this corner. I was expecting there to be either a Jagdpanzer or 183 waiting, and wow, would you look at that. There is. But because I'm a light tank, I outspot him very easily. Now this 120, I was about to freak out at. I'm not joking. When players do that to you, oh my god, they are... I mean, if I had gotten detected by that 183 and the WZ-120 had me stuck there, I probably would be sitting down about 1,000 health right now. So thank god I did not get detected. But I guess Wargaming was like, yeah, you know what, we're not going to let you get shot. That was quite unfortunate for you. So now we're going to use that pretty good heat pen. As I did say, you can easily penetrate Jagdpanzer superstructure with 340 mil. So there you go. Nice pen into the Jagdpanzer. Now we're sitting at 2,500 damage. Now, obviously, if I was in a medium here, I would easily be getting nice shells out of this Jag. This guy would probably be dead by now. But we're still going to get a nice heat shell into him for 613, max roll it, and break the 3,100 damage barrier. Again, you'll notice I'm keeping myself at a distance from the enemy vehicles. I'm not going to rush the M103. I'm not going to rush the V2 and 5B183, and I don't know where that Yo is. So I'm just going to chill here. I'm going to use my Alpha, use this tank as a mobile TD. We're going to aim in a big ol' shell into the lower plate of M103. Boom, 560 again. Now we're sitting at 3,700 damage. I mean, you can just see how easily this vehicle can pull out damage as long as you have support with one or even two teammates. I'm obviously in a platoon here, so that guy, he's helping me out massively. So again, we got the Yo. Gonna aim in an easy shell on the side of his turret. Another 600 damage there. Now we're over 4,200 damage, and this is just an extremely easy farm. So we got the Yo, we got the M103, and I'm just kind of chilling here, enjoying the view. What you're gonna see me do next is nasty. Oof, HE shell, 674 damage into the side of that Yo, and I'm gonna back up. As I talked about before on my Falls Creek battle, I'm controlling my engagements. I'm only poking when I need to. And even though I might not have the most DPM, again, I'm choosing which targets I want to use my DPM on. That's another 700 damage HE. And if you use HE on this tank, you're easily sitting at around 2,700, 2,800 DPM. Again, I'm not poking. You know, if I was in a normal medium and I had to continue poking this guy, I'd risk being shot. Shot by this guy, shot by the Yo. But there you go. M103 shoots me for 335, and I shoot him back for 497. I wonder who won that engagement. So a lot of you might be asking, well, why didn't you shoot the Yo there? Why didn't you, help out your team and finish him off? Well, obviously, this tank does not have a lot of DPM, as we've gone over, so make sure when you're using a Sheridan that you use your damage effectively on the enemy. This 183 is a waste. I mean, I'm already at 6,600 damage. Obviously, I want to get out as much damage as possible. So what I'm going to do, instead of shooting that 183 that has 9 health, is I'm going to shoot over here at the enemy M103. There you go, finishing him off. Unfortunately, though, that 183 did hesh my teammate in the cupola, finishing him off, which, yeah, that kind of really sucked. He was like, what the heck? But thankfully, obviously, I out-reload at 183, so I'm just going to fire a standard shell right into the side. And there you have it. That is a 7,119 damage battle in the Sheridan. It required almost zero effort to do this, and all I really needed to do, again, is control the engagements I fought in. A medium, sure, probably could have done the same damage. But, I mean, this was just a walk in the park. You just poke every 14 seconds, boom, that is 560, and you're back in the cover. I really like the Sheridan because of this, and that is why I've been able to achieve such a high average damage in this vehicle over the past 20 days. I mean, not even my mediums really average around 3,800. It's almost 3,900 for 30 days in this tank. Now, obviously, I don't expect all of you to average that, but I thought that this would be a good tank to review and explain why I put it so high on my tier list ranking the other day. But hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more in-depth reviews like this that really explain deep and dive into how to play tanks, let me know. But I thought this would be something good. Enjoy today's video, enjoy the day, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye!